Oh man, it is time once again. It's Tuesday night, August 5th, and we're here to bring you another episode of the MHA podcast. We are less than a month, gentlemen, from draft night and from the first game of the new season on September 4th. Eric Lansing here, along with the usual suspects of Mikey Renault and Todd Diamond. But that's not it, folks. Tonight, special guest joining us on the podcast, on this 2025 Running Backs podcast, and that's Matt Quain, a three-time MHA champion. Quain, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. How you doing?
Great, man. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, you got
Talk a little RB.
Yeah, the running back position. Is that the most important position in fantasy?
I think so.
Yeah, you get up for it?
Maybe not in our league because of the accelerated scoring of quarterbacks, but yeah, I think in general, like hitting on the big RB is what is going to help you win the league.
Yeah, awesome. You guys, how about Todd, Mike? How you guys doing tonight? You guys ready to talk about some running backs?
Absolutely, because our running back's still a dime a dozen.
That's every the year.
Yep.
Diamond.
Yep. Well, you're gonna get. Hey, I got to give the people what they want.
Do the people want that? I think we need to have a poll or something. We'll get you to stop saying it for the rest of your life if we get a poll up there. Maybe
dime a dozen. Dime a dozen or Splappa? Which one would never would?
I find myself saying Splappa sometimes, just in honor of because of you saying it. So maybe that's what's going to get the crowd to come.
Awesome. Well, if I win the championship, then Splappa it is.
Well, anything's possible, I guess. You won it a couple of years ago, so Christian McCaffrey helped you win it. So running back's important. If Todd can win with a top-notch running back, any of us can. So important. A lot of running backs to get to, but we got to get to that news first.
I don't understand what the news is. It's just like, hey, here's a bunch of you can't fix that happened that was horrible.
We'll lead it off with some breaking news. Kyren Williams getting a 3-year, $33 million deal. I think this is important, and we'll talk about Kyren a little bit, but I think there was, with that notion that Kyren was on a rookie contract, that management didn't need to really worry about pulling him if he wasn't doing well. And so now he gets the contract. He's kind of has to be in that number one spot. And of course, in the McVay system, they utilize a one running back system. So that almost moves him up a couple of spots in my rankings, but we'll talk about that when we get there. How about some negative news? Jordan Addison, wide receiver for the Vikings, suspended by the NFL 3 games for violating the league's substance policy. Not a good thing. Mikey, I'm assuming you drop him in your rankings. I didn't have you guys do wide receiver rankings, but do you feel like this news pushes them down a little bit?
Yeah, it'll hurt for sure. 3 games it's not a deal breaker, but it's a big deal.
Big deal. Maybe more Justin Jefferson points. So whoever gets him, that might help out. Keenan Allen back with the Chargers on a 1-year deal, $8.52 million after spending last season with the Bears. Allen reunites with Justin Herbert. So Quain, does Keenan Allen jump up into your fantasy rankings at all?
No, I think it just muddies the water in, I was about to say San Diego, but in LA. That whole receiving core, I think it's Ladd and then just other dudes.
So Keenan Allen back once again. Michael Pittman, speaking of wide receivers, left early last week due to a leg injury, but it seems to have avoided serious injury. He's working through a groin injury as well. Khalil Shakir, week to week with a high ankle sprain. Buffalo Bills wide receiver. A.J. Brown, Philly wide receiver, hamstring injury. Matt Stafford for the Rams, back soreness. Isaac Gruendo, shoulder injury. He's going to miss 2 weeks. Juwan Jennings dealing with a calf injury, 49ers wide receiver. And Todd, I really want you to think about this, okay? This question I'm going to ask you, I really want you to dig deep into your brain. Kyle Pitts and Michael Penix, golfing buddies. They're besties. Should we put Kyle Pitts back on our fantasy tight end radar?
Kyle Pitts, I'll believe it when I see it, but no.
Does that move the needle for you, Miguel? Seeing that they're golf buddies?
How does that help get you fantasy points?
I don't know. I figure you're hanging out. You're probably throwing, being buddies and learning the rhythm and timing and all that stuff. Kyle Pitts, come on.
But Eric,
You got to remember, Cup and Stafford were eating breakfast together every day.
Oh, eating breakfast. Okay.
Yeah.
hey,
So if they're out on the golf drinking, they're out on the course drinking some beers, having some fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
But how many? But I mean, we're
Can't
still
hurt,
waiting
Todd.
for.
It can't hurt.
I agree, it can't hurt, but I mean, we've been waiting. It's gonna, I'm gonna have, I think all my hair is gonna fall out by the time that happens. So
There you go. Tight ends. We'll talk about that in a couple weeks, but let's get to those running backs. And of course, we always like to ask who's the number one running back. And I have some rankings in front of me from Todd and Mikey and myself. And if Quayne wants to jump in, we'll get him in this mix too. But in terms of running backs, we all have different running backs as our number one. Mikey, I'll let you go first because you had this gentleman on your squad last year, and he did pretty well for you.
Yeah, I mean, I stuck with Saquon. This was really hard because I had all three of those guys pretty close. Robinson and Barkley, especially, were pretty neck and neck, so I had to kind of break ties. And the reason that I went Saquon is nothing really changed for him. He's still running behind the best offensive line in football. They still have one of the best receiving corps in football. They still have a quarterback that takes attention away from the run because he can also run. So even though Jalen Hurts snipes touchdowns from him, I had a hard time figuring out why things would be different for Barkley with that line opening up gaping holes for him every week.
Well, I'll tell you the difference. It's history. Every running back that has rushed for 2,000 yards has seen their yardage total decrease significantly into the next season. So do we assume that Saquon can bust out 2,000 more yards, or does he not have to reach that to be the number one running back?
I don't think he does have to reach that to be the number one running back. He has nobody behind him, which is one of the big factors for me and why I liked him so much last year. I get that history is against him, but man, how many of those guys in the history had an offensive line like the Eagles do year after year?
Well, Terrell Davis was one of them. They always had a pretty good offensive line. But I agree with you. What's that, Todd?
I said, I was just saying, TD. I mean, obviously wasn't for the. He had one of the best offensive lines.
Yeah, but TD also lost a Hall of Fame quarterback. Saquon has the same quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So, Todd, you don't have Saquon as your number one. Who's your number one running back going into this 2025 season?
It's Christian McCaffrey.
What a surprise. Oh, man. No way. Get out.
Oh,
what?
Come on. Get out of town. You're yanking my chain. Come on. What do you no. Yes, obviously injury last year. Derailed the season. But hey, he's due to
not the first time that's happened to him.
No, absolutely not. So it's and the thing is too, with that 49ers offense, okay, you don't have Debo anymore.
Nope.
You hope. Well, again,
Ayuk. Jennings hurts right now.
Yeah, Jennings is hurt. Also wanted a contract too, and then Brandon Ayuk. That's obviously they paid him like a number one wide receiver.
We're not talking about their contract. Let's go.
Okay.
Continue with Christian McCaffrey. I know that bothers you, but we need to move on with Christian McCaffrey.
But the thing is, Christian McCaffrey is still the number one option in that offense, plain and simple. He is the most versatile running back in the league. And we know obviously what he is capable of doing when it comes to running and catching. And in fantasy, that's what you're looking for. Somebody who can run and catch. And Christian McCaffrey checks all the boxes. That's why
we've seen it, and we've seen him hobble to the end of the season, or not even make it out of the gate at the beginning of the season. So you force feed a guy enough. Maybe at some point you take back the reins a little bit on him and feed like Isaac Groenda, who's getting some notes and practices and training camp and so forth. So Quayne, do you feel Christian McCaffrey number one, or who do you have who do you think should be the number one running back going into this season?
I would have Bijan Robinson as my RB1. I think C-Mac would be like a really good pick at the end of the first round, but I wouldn't have him that high. I just think Bijan's. I think you can pencil him in for 300 plus touches and I don't know, like 75 or so targets, and that's he's just going to score a lot of fantasy points.
Falcons also sport one of the best O lines in the league as well. He has been pretty much consistent fantasy. He was a little slow out of the gate last year, but really down the stretch put up some big time numbers. Tyler Algier, a solid number 2, but he's not going to take away that much where it's going to make that much of a difference. He finished 4th in the NFL amongst running backs in carries and 3rd in receptions. So let's talk about some of the other running backs. Well, if full disclosure, I had Bijan number 1, Saquon 2, actually had Christian McCaffrey number 3. On the other side, Mikey, Saquon 1, Bijan 2, and he had Jahmyr Gibbs. Let's talk about Jahmyr Gibbs a little bit. Miguel, this was a guy that Todd was super high on, even with the presence of David Montgomery, but then Montgomery went down. Jahmyr Gibbs showed what he could do when it was just him on the field, and he was fun to watch, to say the least. Some of your thoughts on Jahmyr Gibbs heading into the season?
I mean, he definitely showed what he could do when, David Montgomery went down at the end of the season. In the 3 games that he was in there, he put up close to 25 points in each game. And the coordinators are different, so there is a little bit. That's why he wasn't my number 1, although, I mean, I do like him a lot. I just get the feeling that at this point, they saw what he did in those last 3 to 4 games last year and saw how explosive he was when he was getting the majority of the touches, especially in the receiving game. Like last 4 games of the season, he was getting, 5+ receptions a game, and you could just see it on the field, like so explosive. And so last year was a breakout. Like, I don't know what you want to call this year, but I think it's going to be even better.
Todd, so with Jahmyr Gibbs, he had 250 carries last year, and that's with Montgomery missing a good portion of the season. You look at Derrick Henry has 325 attempts. Detroit has so many mouths to feed. I mean, you have Gibbs as your number 2, so you're not super concerned, but is there concerns in that in terms of, well, 1 week it's going to be Amon-Ra, and then, Jameson Williams is getting a lot of love, and then Laporta getting some love as well. And then it's a Montgomery game. He gets 2 touchdowns. I mean, it just seems there's too many other obstacles or hurdles, or whatever you want to call it, in his way. But that doesn't seem to deter you at all.
No, I think
Todd traded him last year. How does he have him 2?
That was last year. Okay.
That was last year. Okay. Let's not talk about last year. Okay. Let's talk about the year I won. That's better.
No. Let's talk about Jahmyr Gibbs.
Okay. No, I think, yes, I agree. Yes, there are a lot of mouths to feed in that, in that Lions offense, but Jahmyr Gibbs at least showed enough where even if he doesn't get like a big performance, each week, but enough where you feel where you're like, hey, I'm going to start him regardless every single week. If he at least gets 15 to 20, on a week where Amon-Ra St. Brown has a big game, or Porta or whatever it is, but Gibbs at least gets you around to that 15, 20 on a week where he doesn't get a lot. But obviously but the next week, if he gets like, 20 to 30, or something like that, then you're okay with that. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm not too worried about it.
Man, he had 20 total touchdowns last season, and touchdowns can be fluky. So, I mean, if he goes down to something like 12 or 13, maybe he's not in the top 2, maybe he's not top 4, but he has shown the ability to be something electric. Another guy that all he does is score touchdowns is Derrick Henry. Last year finished 3rd in our league, 326 points. The 2 years before, he was 7th. So a guy that just does it time after time, and he goes into Baltimore. Quayne, some of your thoughts on Henry, who has just been a model of consistency. I think he's had 1 season where he missed a ton of time, but really he's in there putting up points. He's not going to give you a ton of receptions, but man, lots of yards, lots of TDs. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it feels like he's I don't know, immortal.
Sure,
He's
yeah,
he's
31.
he's he's Colossus from the X-Men. Like he just keeps going. You can't stop him.
Getting into comic
Um
books, I love it.
yeah, he's great. I think the only downside is like you mentioned, he's not super involved in the receiving game, and we have a PPR league where you score a point for every time you catch a ball, and that knocks him a little bit.
Hmm.
He's
So we
also chasing that age cliff, and you have to worry about that a little bit.
so I have him around. I have him fifth. Todd has him eighth. Mikey has him fourth. Do you think around that's too high, too low? Would you put him above any of the guys we talked about already?
I would say, yeah, like 5 or 6,
Okay.
kind of like in that middle of the second round area. I think that's where I'd be willing to take him. He's probably going to go earlier than that, though, and I wouldn't expect to have much of him.
Mikey, any quick thing you want to say about Derrick Henry? He was on your squad last year. Last season he led the NFL in missed tackles forced and yards gained after those missed tackles. So even as big as he is, and as he's getting long in tooth, he just year after year, fourth time in 6 years to average more than 100 rushing yards per game. That's just top notch. That's what you want out of your running back.
Yeah, the one thing that I'll say about him and what makes him different than most running backs is his ceiling on any given day is just different. Like, I mean, his floor could be anywhere from like 10 to 12 because he consistently picks up yards. Maybe he doesn't get the touchdowns because who knows what Baltimore's doing on that day. But the day that he does, he has that ability where he can get you like 150 to 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, and all of a sudden he's putting up a 30-point game, which can win you weeks. And there's just a lot of these running backs where they maybe have that more consistent floor where they're going to put that 15 to 16 points, but don't have like that game breaking, week winning type ability that Henry does.
Moving on here, we're not going to talk about the rookies here. We had that rookie episode. So if you want to hear more about Ashton Genty or Omarion Hampton, you can go check that out. So I want to talk about a guy that I'm kind of mixed on. And, maybe it's just because I was burned by him a couple years ago, but Josh Jacobs last year finished fifth. 27 years old, averaged 20 carries a game. The Packers really got run heavy as the season went along. I'll go to Todd for this one. Todd, you have him ranked the same place I do in seventh. So, some of your thoughts. Do you like his situation? Do you think the Packers continue running at a high rate? Jordan Love was hurt last year. Maybe he's healthy. We saw what he could do when he's healthy. Maybe they pass the ball a little more. Any trepidation with Josh Jacobs in your top 10?
No, Josh Jacobs showed like he can be dependent on regardless whether Jordan Love is throwing the ball, whatever 20, 30 times a game, whatever it is or more. But Josh Jacobs proved like, that he can be a top tier running back, and season he had last year, especially in that offense. And two, you have to look at their, little bit of their, their wide receiver situation too. We'll talk about that next week, but I think just Josh Jacobs is he's dependable, and that you feel comfortable drafting him even in the first round. And he'll get you, he'll get you those big numbers. And if Jordan Love can take another step too, then that'll just add more to Josh Jacobs, value too, in this upcoming season.
Quayne, with the Packers running back situation, there's Jacobs and there's Marshawn Lloyd and Emmanuel Wilson. Is it fair to say that Jacobs is a bell cow? And do you see him as a top kind of 7, 8, 9 running back this year?
He could be. I have him, I think, like 11. So
Okay, just outside.
if people are throwing around first round draft capital at him, I am definitely out at that point.
Last year led the NFL with 24 carries inside the 5-yard line. I don't know if that number holds up, but that's how much they rely on him. Mikey, I know you had Josh Jacobs on your team. Anything you want to say about him before moving on?
Todd said reliable, which I think is the perfect word. Like was basically double digits every game except for one, and the one game was a game he got banged up in. So yeah, I mean, pretty reliable, not like super highs and lows, just consistent. So, I mean, I agree with Quayne that I wouldn't take him in the first round, but second round, possibly.
Josh, I was just saying, Josh Jacob kind of reminds me of a little bit the season he had to another running back a few years ago was, David Johnson. How consistent he was. Like, okay, he would, you give him the ball and he'd get you, he get you those double digits, every single week. Like you wouldn't have to worry. Like, I need this many points, or whatever to win. And look, I got Dave Johnson. Oh, he'll give me those points. Same thing with Josh Jacobs. Like, oh, I'm down that Josh Jacobs can get me whatever 15, 20 or points or whatever it is. But that was the comp I was thinking.
So David Johnson, another Todd Diamond guy, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing up David Johnson, name from the past. All right, we're going to speed this up just a little bit here, but we're going to talk about running backs who can catch the ball. So I have 3 names here, and all you guys can pick one to talk about. I'll let our guest go first. So we have Devin Achane here, Alvin Kamara, and Breece Hall. Quayne, any of those 3 guys you like the best, or one of those guys you like, or someone that you want to talk about? Go for it.
Yeah, I love Achane.
Please, I need you to help me figure that out. I have him ranked 9th, and I don't know if I like that or dislike it. So he's kind of in the middle. Try to convince me to bring Achane a little bit higher.
Sure, I'll do my best. When I'm evaluating, like, spending high draft capital on a running back, I want somebody with massive upside. And I see Achane as somebody who can score a touchdown every single time the ball is in his hands. And I think there's a world where he catches 90 something passes this year.
Now that's
like
delicious.
Some insane amount. And so I'm a little worried about Miami, like the situation as a whole.
Exactly.
They're a team that doesn't want to eat their vegetables. They want to eat candy for dinner, and they are incapable of loading up on the trenches. And so that kind of worries me. But it's good in the fact that I could see them being very similar to Cincinnati from last year, where the defense is just so incredibly bad that the offense is forced to put the ball in the hands of their best players to win the game. And so I just really love its upside.
Yeah, you mentioned offensive line, bottom half of the league. They have a guy that's a little bit bigger at the goal line. We haven't seen a lot of it, but I'm trying to remember, what is he? Let's see. So
Ollie Gordon.
What's that?
Ollie Gordon is the big rookie they brought in.
Okay, we also have Jalen Wright in the mix, I think, too. Who could steal carries. I think Achane had 14 carries inside the 5-yard line last season and generated a grand total of -1 yard. He did score 3 touchdowns, but that's not super efficient. So I think that's what concerns me is the offense going to be able? It's like Cincinnati's offense is stellar, so we know they're going to be good. And if Tua is hurt, that concerns me because they are nothing without Tua. So definitely concerns on my end about that. Mikey, do you want to talk about Alvin Kamara or Breece Hall?
I'm afraid of Alvin Kamara. I'll talk about Kamara. I have him ranked 14th, but he's a player that I'm afraid of, to be honest, just because of how.
Speaking of bad offenses,
it's a very bad offense, and he's pretty much all they have right now, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, Good thing is Todd saw at the beginning part of the season, Alvin Kamara was ripping up the league for the first couple weeks, but the bad part of that is they used him up. He got hurt because he was all they had, and how was he the second half? I mean, Todd will tell you he wasn't the same. So
no, he was not.
From a points perspective, he's a guy that, I mean, you're taking your chance. It's got him ranked 14th because we got to put him somewhere. I think he's still good enough. but
Good
he's
enough.
somebody that if I'm looking at him, it's going to be one of those where like, okay, if it's between him and someone else, I'm going to have to go somewhere else.
I feel you there. There's this. I mean, he's 30 years old. We don't know what the offense is going to look like. The offensive line is incredibly young. Has never rushed for 1,000 yards in a season. It's always been about his receiving totals. And so if he put up 63, 68 last year, 75 the year before. So if he puts those numbers up, there's a place for him. But yeah, is there upside? Not really. So Todd, do you want to give us a little bit about Brees Hall?
I really don't want to, but I will.
Wow, guys, we're only like in the 15 area, and you guys already hating the running backs.
Well, we're talking about the New York Jets, right? We're talking about that dumpster fire of offense. Justin Fields is the quarterback, right? Okay, cool. Yes, obviously Brees Hall had a very disappointing, only 5 touch. I mean, granted, that whole offense was just, I mean, gross. I have him ranked 23rd in my rankings.
Wow, that's very low amongst all of us.
It is
Very
low.
Yes, very low. So can
That's
he?
the yuck statement.
Yep. Can he bounce back? Yes, but it's going to depend on. It's just going to depend on how that offense is, how Justin Fields will operate, because obviously teams are going to just stack the box. Because if the Jets are going to okay, well, we're going to stack the box, and because they know they're going to run the ball. I mean, obviously, Justin Fields is capable, but I'm just not really high on Brees Hall. I mean, I've always, obviously it's just gonna really be him. I mean, there's not really a lot of competition, but could obviously change. But I would rather, again, I always go with the philosophy. I'd rather go with either a rookie or a third string running back on a better team than I would a top tier running back that's on a real bad team and is not going to really do anything.
It's one of the most ridiculous things
It's
I've
going to
ever
do.
heard in my life. I'm sorry.
Well, I say,
Quinn,
I know the
ahead.
volume will be there, but I just don't know. I mean, he only had 5 touchdowns. That doesn't really. It really doesn't.
That doesn't surprise you.
He
Aaron
finished
Rodgers is on
17th
his
with
team.
those 5 touchdowns.
They had Aaron Rodgers on the team, and that's what he does is just throw inside the 5. So that makes sense.
Yeah, but Justin Fields likes to run too. So some of those rushing carries might might go to Justin Fields. So you got to remember that too. Justin Fields is a mobile running quarterback. So, when you have those mobile running quarterbacks, it somewhat sometimes takes away from the carries from the running back. You got to admit that. I mean, I know this is comparing apples to oranges, but I mean, Lamar Jackson was always running, and obviously, Brees Hall is not Derrick Henry by any means, but you're still taking away especially those goal line carries, because what happens if Justin Fields just wants to, I'm just gonna just jump over just to break the plane.
But Todd, what you have to understand, I mean, you can. This is a tough. I hate to compare this, but Josh Allen had double-digit touchdown running, and so did James Cook. Not that I'm saying they're the same offense, but I think there's something to being able to have. He's not going to throw for a ton of touchdowns, but Brees Hall was second amongst all running backs 2 years ago. I think there's ability there. I think it's too early to throw him away. But we're going to keep moving on here. Let's talk about 2024 breakout running backs. So I have 4 names up here. I'll let Quayne go first and pick a name that he wants out of these guys. But Chase Brown, Cincinnati, Bucky Irving from Tampa, James Cook, we just mentioned, from the Bills, Chuba Hubbard from Carolina. Which one of those guys intrigues you the most, Quayne?
Well, let's stick with the best pass catcher out of the group, since I ran with that out of the first group. Let's go with Chase Brown. He is primed to catch a lot of balls in a really good offense. I realize that there's a lot of mouths to feed there, but they also play very up tempo. They run a lot of plays overall. The Cincinnati offense, as we saw last year, is capable of feeding all of those mouths between Chase and T. Higgins and Chase Brown. Um, and there's really just like he has no competition in that backfield. I think he is absolutely primed to have a fantastic year this year.
Bottom line offensive line, but that was kind of the case last year. This team passes at a 65% rate, so not a lot of running opportunities. But as you mentioned, it's going to be coming a lot from the receiving. Just full note, I use Chase Brown as kind of my bus pick, and so I'm not going to get any points from you in this regard. But I mean, isn't Zach Moss competition? At least going into last year, there was a lot. Oh, they
Yeah,
cut
Zach
him.
Moss is
Oh,
gone,
well,
bro.
there you go. So I didn't realize. So he's out of the team. So he's out of the mix. So not in the mix for that. So there you go. Finished 11th last year, Chase Brown, 990 yards, 7 touchdowns, had 54 receptions for 4 touchdowns. So Chase
Yeah, they
Brown.
brought in Samaje Perine. We know what he is. They
Yep.
drafted Taj Brooks, who is actually kind of interesting. But I think they drafted him in like the 6th round, so he's not, guaranteed a ton of touches or anything. So
Yeah, not high draft capital to warrant some of those carries. So I can appreciate that. I want to have to change my bus pick between now and then. Mikey. So out of the remaining breakout running backs, Bucky Irving, James Cook, Chuba Hubbard.
I'll go Bucky Irving. He had an amazing second half of last year. Showed like true breakaway speed. Uh, this is a team that in Tampa, while he was a decent pass catcher, not as good as Chase Brown was, but this is a team that likes to throw to get ahead and then run late, so you know the opportunities are going to be there for Bucky in that backfield to get enough carries to where he actually matters. And I know Rashad White is still there, but I think that Irving proved last year that they are not close. So I have Irving rated in my top 10 at 10th overall. I think it's deservedly so. And yeah, I like him.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of upside with him. He forced 62 missed tackles last year. That's 8th in the NFL. Some folks are concerned that White's going to come in and get third down duty, but Irving showed he could catch the ball at a pretty decent rate. So we'll see. And with Tampa always having one of the best offensive lines, Todd. So James Cook, Chuba Hubbard. Any yuck in those two names?
Well, James Cook, no yuck, no yuck there. I mean, Chuba Hubbard, hey, surprising people, but I'll go James Cook. This might be this season might catapult him to finish in the in the top 5. I have him ranked right now just ranked 11th, so right out of the top 10. But obviously, again, great offense. Had 16 touchdowns last year.
18 total.
18, yeah, two. I'm sorry, 2 receiving as well. So, yeah, all versatile. And obviously, right now, I mean, he's he wants a contract. So, but I think at the end of the day, James Cook could finish when it's all said and done in the top 5. That's how good he is. Again, in an offense, I say it every single year until it's like a broken record, but it's the truth. When you're in a great offense, it helps, and it's like it was before. It was always Josh Allen was always the number one option for everything. Josh Allen, running, I mean, if he didn't, throw it to himself, he was getting in the end zone. But now James Cook is in the picture, and James Cook is proven he can be that second option, and that second option in that offense, and that makes the Buffalo Bills very, very dangerous. And for James Cook, again, James Cook could be toward that end of the first round or in the beginning of the second. So, I'm very high on James Cook. I mean, he's gonna get a lot of carries. And
he didn't get a lot of carries last year.
Well, I mean,
He only had, I mean, at least
207.
if you compare it to the elite options that are in the more 250 to 300 range, he's not going to get that. And if I had to ask Quayne and Mikey, if you're going over under on 18 touchdowns for James Cook, where are we going?
Way under. I think he's a prime candidate for touchdown regression. He's like the exact opposite of Devon Achane, who is a prime candidate for positive regression.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Todd, in terms of the opportunities are there, but it's so hard. Everything, I mean, he had a 3 touchdown game, and so that those teams type to skew the numbers. If he was more in that 250 attempts range, or even caught more passes, like he only caught 32 passes. Joe Brady, the coordinator over there, doesn't really utilize running backs in the passing game. It's a lot of wide receiver, and so if he had more running attempts, if he had more receptions, I would agree with you. I'd put him, for someone who had him last year. I would obviously saw what the benefits were, but I think so much could go wrong for him to fall below where he's going at now. Continuing on here, where we at here? 36 minutes. We're doing all right. Rebound 2025 season. Guys who were hurt or didn't perform up to snuff. We kind of talked about Breece Hall a little bit, David Montgomery, Isaiah Pacheco, Mikey. Any one of those guys that you thought maybe could? I mean, injuries are always tough to say, but you're also having to come back from them. And we saw what Jahmyr Gibbs, so there's that push Montgomery out of the way. Any one of the 3 of these guys you want to chat about?
Yeah, because to be honest, Isaiah Pacheco is like the most interesting running back in the draft for me.
Sure. I get that.
Because it's so hard to, so many, when you're looking at him, I think all of us ranked him a lot lower than last year. I think Eric's probably the highest on him. But this was somebody that got drafted in the 2nd round last year.
Yeah. That
may ultimately now, because of an injury, be undervalued. I mean,
correct.
if he's healthy, he's coming back to an offense that could be better. That offensive line could be better. And so what's the difference between how people felt about him last year versus this year other than an injury? It's just very interesting to me.
Yes. Last year, only 7 games played. I think and maybe I'm thinking of someone else here, but didn't he fractured his fibula, ended the season early. Did he come back at the end of the year? Does anybody remember that at all?
He did, and he was not.
And he
did not look. Yeah, he did not look like himself, and I think it's frankly due to the injury that he suffered.
Yeah, and he finished 15th in 2023. So I think there's ability there. He's probably 100%, at least he's a lot better than he was at the end of last year. So I agree. Yeah, I mean, that's why I had him a little higher. I think there's talent there. And sometimes people forget about that. And his competition really isn't that exciting. Yeah, maybe Kareem Hunt comes in there a little bit, but he's older. Elijah Hunt, both those guys are in small 1-year deals. Offensive line always is concerning because they're never last. I mean, they're scheduled, projected to finish about 20th. But Patrick Mahomes opens up so much that I think he can come in if he's healthy and catch some passes, that things will be all right for him. He can definitely move up in that respect. Quayne, anybody you want to talk about breakout? I mean, we kind of talked about Breece Hall a little bit. David Montgomery, any of those guys bound for big time seasons or better seasons than last year?
I definitely agree that Pacheco is a steal at his current value. I think we talked about Breece Hall, but I like Breece Hall a lot. Yeah. I think he is the most talented of all of the names on this list. And one that you guys were talking a lot about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has a incredibly poor offensive game, like speed. Yeah. Like he milks the clock down to the final second every single play, and that causes the offense to just not run as many plays. I think they will be much more up tempo with Justin Fields, and I feel like they will very much consolidate a lot of the work on offense through both Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. So I really like both of those 2 guys here.
Okay, let's talk about some elder statesman running backs, some guys that are a little long in tooth, but it's still fantasy worthy. And I'm sure Aaron Jones, Todd Diamond, that's his boy. If you want to talk about Aaron Jones here, go for it.
Awesome. Absolutely.
Where
All the
do you
time,
have
every day.
him ranked here? You have him 21st. Wow, I'm higher on you than I'm at 20th. And so, yeah, go for it.
All right. Well, we've seen dealing with Aaron Jones. We've seen.
I feel like we're getting like a manifesto or something out of this. Let me talk to you about this. Go ahead.
Let me tell you. We've seen the good, like the best in Aaron Jones. I mean, running and catching. Obviously, when he was in Green Bay, was almost automatic. That was it was great. Now, obviously, coming to Minnesota. Obviously, last season, rushed for 1,000 yards, only 5 touchdowns and 2 receiving. Obviously, not the Aaron Jones of old, because I guarantee you all those numbers would be double digits. But he's still going. And obviously, the biggest thing is coming into the season, you're going to have essentially a rookie quarterback in JJ McCarthy. And always, and this, I think a lot of people say this, what is like a rookie's, best friend on the field, is the running back. That's their safety blanket. And Aaron Jones is still, is Aaron Jones elite? Not as much anymore, but is he still reliable you can where he can still catch the ball out of the backfield? He can still, he gets those, like I say, he always gets those tough runs and everything like that. And even at the goal line, I understand they brought in Jordan Mason, but I think Aaron Jones still the number. Obviously he's not a bell cow running back. I'm not going to expect that anymore, but he's still up there and reliable, where if you're choosing between him or, I'll just use an example, him or James Conner. Again, obviously I'm biased, but I'd take Aaron Jones over James Conner.
His boy Aaron Jones.
Yep.
He's a tough guy to figure out. He's not explosive. He doesn't miss tackles anymore. He's not good at the goal line. But over the past 5 years, in terms of yards per carry, 4.5, 4.6, 5.3, 4.7, 5.5, consistent. So it's hard to read him. Let's talk about some other older gentlemen. Mikey, you want to talk about James Conner or Joe Mixon?
I'll talk about Conner, and forgive me, I was tired when I was moving my rankings into Word from Excel. I somehow omitted putting him on the list.
Oh my gosh, you're right. I don't see him on your list.
But I can tell you,
unranked.
No,
undrafted.
I'm looking at my Excel rankings right now. So he is actually 17th.
Okay.
On my list. Yeah, to me, of all these guys, like Conner, he's just consistent. Like he's one of those guys where it's like, if you draft him, it's like, man, what is really the upside with James Conner? Maybe there's not a lot, but I tell you what, you can draft him as an RB2 or flex whatever, and I think you'd be happy with him because he's just consistent. Probably going to get his 80 to 90 yards. Maybe he gets a touchdown here or there, but he's going to end up catching 4 to 5 passes every game. And the Cardinals are just going to continue using him. He's been able to stay healthy, which I can't say the same thing about Aaron Jones or Joe Mixon already. So, yeah, I like Conner better than both of those other two options.
Yeah, Mixon may not play in the preseason. So, Quayne, did that affect how you ranked Joe Mixon? Here's a guy who finished 14th. Last year, he finished 5th 2 years ago, but he is getting up there in age. What are some of your thoughts about Joe Mixon heading into 2025?
I'm not a huge fan of Joe Mixon this year, and the fact that he is already hurt, missing a lot of time. The coach speak around his foot injury that he is nursing does not seem to be very positive at all. It's very vague, and it has me thinking that I will probably let somebody else catch that falling knife.
Yeah, he's 29 years old. No contract guaranteed after the season. So maybe contract year, maybe he tries to figure some things out. Depending on how far he falls, he could be some sort of value because he's shown that he can do it and catch passes, but he has dealt with foot injuries. He had ankle injuries last season. So maybe he's hitting the wall here. We'll just have to wait and see on that. Okay, gentlemen, we're coming down to the last 15 minutes, and I'd want to get to these sleepers, so we'll rapid fire this a little bit. Steelers running backs, who would you prefer, Jalen Warren or Caleb Johnson? Mikey?
Caleb Johnson.
Todd?
Caleb Johnson.
And Quayne?
Jalen Warren.
I'm kind of on the Jalen Warren, too. I'd love to talk more about that, but we don't have time. But I also picked Jalen Warren. Patriots running backs, Ramondre Stevenson or Travion Henderson, Quayne?
Travion Henderson. I fell in love with him during the draft process. I wanted the Broncos to take him with their first round pick.
Love it.
I love. I watched a lot of Ohio State film from last season, and just watching him decleat dudes is like one of my favorite things. So he's awesome.
Mikey, what do you think?
I also take Henderson, although in fairness, I would probably take a bologna sandwich over Stevenson.
Is there mustard on that sandwich?
No, I'm not a big mustard guy.
No, then it's not as worth it. All right. How about you, Todd?
Henderson.
Yeah, I think we're all in the same kind of, despite all that Ramondre has been able to do, he also fumbles a lot. Jaguars running backs. Are we going Travis Etienne, Tanks Bigsby, or Bashul Tutin? Hopefully I said the name right. Mikey?
This one was difficult,
This was
but
tough.
I am going to take ETN slightly. I don't know what this offense is going to do, but ETN, at least I've seen it before, so I'm going to go with him.
Todd?
ETN.
Quayne?
I will take. It's going to depend a lot on my team structure, but I would generally take Tank because he's the cheapest out of all of them. And so if there's a very murky backfield, I will generally just try to grab the one that goes last.
That's a great.
I love Tutin's explosiveness, though. He is very interesting.
I also have ETN ranked one spot higher than Tutin. So either way, it just depends on where it falls in the draft, I guess. Let's go to Giants running backs, Quayne. Tyrone Tracy Jr., Devin Singletary, or Cam Scatabo?
I didn't even realize that Devin Singletary should really be an option in this.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's Tyrone Tracy.
Okay, what about you, Mikey?
I agree with Quayne. I didn't even rank Singletary. I took Tracy.
I typed him for no reason. Todd?
Tracy.
Oh, yeah, all right. I'm same way, but I just threw him in there. How about Browns running backs, Jerome Ford or Quinshon Judkins, Todd?
Jenkins.
Mikey?
There wasn't an option for none, so I took Judkins.
What about you, Quayne? You want none?
No, I'd take Ford. I almost always would lean for a rookie in this sort of situation, but he has proven himself to be an absolute idiot. He doesn't even have a contract. He is a candidate. He's a candidate for the commissioner's exempt list. I am completely out on Judkins. I have no interest.
Quayne says no knuckleheads.
That's why I said none.
I'm going Judkins in case they figure things out. Broncos running backs. So Mikey, RJ Harvey or JK Dobbins?
This one was also close for me. I know it wasn't close for Todd, but it was close for me. I have Harvey slightly.
Todd? I think we know that.
I have Harvey.
You have Harvey and Quayne?
This is a landslide towards Harvey. I want the running back who's going to be hitting his stride at the end of the season.
Yeah, I went with Harvey as well. Okay, so we're going to go through. I asked you guys to give me a sleeper running back, a bust running back, and a running back going outside the top 30. That could be fantasy worthy. And Quayne's we're going to give our thoughts, and he's going to pick the winner. Okay, so we'll all go through our sleeper running backs, make them quick because we're coming down to the last 10 minutes here, and then Quayne's going to give us a point, and then we'll see who wins at the end. So Todd, give me a sleeper running back.
All right, I'm going to go with a former Bronco, but now a Cowboy, Javonte Williams.
Okay, do you want to give me a couple sentences on why you want him as your sleeper?
Yeah, I mean, obviously injuries played him, but I think maybe a new change of scenery, decent offensive line. So I think he might surprise some people.
Mikey, who you guys your sleeper running back?
So I'm going to go with kind of a forgotten man. I'm going to go with Tony Pollard, uh,
Hmm.
somebody that you know I wouldn't say he was okay last year. It wasn't what he was in Dallas, but I think if Cam Ward gives them anything and this offense is able to be, even slightly better, he'll have opportunities to outperform his ranking.
Yeah, I believe his touchdowns can go up with Cam Ward there, but I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift. He's going to get all the carries in that Ben Johnson offense. Better offensive line. The offense should be better. Yes, his 3.8 yards per carry last season were a career low, but how bad was that that offense one season ago? For his career, Swift is a 4.7 yards per carry. He's going outside the top 20. He can someone that can finish inside the top 20. So, Quayne, you heard our thoughts between Javonte Williams, DeAndre Swift, and then Tony Pollard. Who gets the point?
I'm giving it to Mikey.
Oh, come on,
No.
Tony
I
Pollard.
am a certified Swift hater.
Yeah, a lot of people are. I wasn't expecting to get any brownie points by picking DeAndre Swift. So Mikey gets the point.
Javonte caught a lot of balls last year, which is kind of surprising, but I think
99.
he's washed. I think he is a shell of his former self.
That's fine. More DeAndre Swift for me. I love it. I'll eat it up. Let's go to the bust running backs. We'll start with Mikey this time.
Okay, so this it's kind of rangy for me, but I'm going with Jonathan Taylor here, and I have him ranked higher, but he's outside of my top 10. I think there's people that do have him inside their top 10. I just do not believe in what the Colts are doing with their quarterback position between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. I figure it's going to be some sort of back and forth. I think they're going to rely on him way too much. I think he's probably going to get hurt. And yeah, just don't like Jonathan Taylor this year.
Okay, Jonathan Taylor, bust running back for Miguel. Todd, who is your bust?
I think he's going to follow it up again, but Brees Hall, I'm just not. It's the Jets. They just will never figure it out. And I mean, 2 years ago, great, but I just think I think Brees Hall is gonna follow up with another stinker.
All right, so Todd with Brees Hall, Mikey with Jonathan Taylor. We're talking about bust running backs. I'm trying to decide if I stick with Chase Brown, if I go somewhere else. With the Chase Brown in his 2 years, he has averaged 4.2 yards per carry. My big thing, too, is Zach Moss. He's obviously not there anymore, but the Bengals offensive line, putrid. And the offense throws a ton. And so he does catch a ton of passes, which obviously is going to help his fantasy value. But Fantasy Pros has him ranked 8th overall. I have him 13th. That's a 5 running back disparity, especially at that point in the draft. I'm not willing to take that risk on a Chase Brown and a bad offense. Give me a running back that's more in a better offense. So between the Jonathan Taylor from Mikey, Brees Hall from Todd, and myself, Chase Brown, who gets the point there, Quayne? Who made the bet? Who made the most compelling argument?
I'm gonna go with Mikey again. Jonathan Taylor doesn't catch he doesn't catch passes.
Fair enough.
You're spending a second round pick on carries.
Jonathan Taylor. All right, so Mikey wins. He already gets 2 points. All right, so let's see if we can make sure it's not a clean sweep. I asked you guys to give me a running back outside the top 30 that you think would be fantasy worthy. We'll start with Todd this time.
Tajay Spears. I think they're going to try to find ways. I mean, I know Tony Pollard that rushed for 1,000 yards last year, but I think Tajay Spears, takes over that role after a few weeks for that Tennessee Titans offense.
All right, there. So, Mikey, who do you have?
This one was actually kind of easy for me. Like, my guy's Zach Charbonnet. Like, I think he already showed that he could be fantasy valuable last year. Outside the top 30, like, he gets carries, even when Ken Walker's there. And in the case where Ken Walker gets hurt, like, he's shown that he can be, a very consistent performer. So that's my guy.
And that was the guy I had picked as well. I mean, it's hard to go out on a limb. A guy that was ranked, 25th last year, but he played 17 games, caught 42 balls. Walker's always going to be kind of banged up. Fantasy Pros has him ranked 34th at the moment. So if he gets to a lot of those, even with Kenny Walker, if he plays a lot of games, he's going to get some stats, and it's going to pull up his rankings a little bit as I'm trying to find his stats on my sheet here. Zach Charbonnet rolling down the list here. So, I mean, finished 25th, 169 points. So he's a guy that even with Walker in the mix, he seems to be productive, and he's going to get those opportunities and maybe improve his worth a little bit more. So Zach Charbonnet from my side, and then Todd, my side and Mikey's side. Todd, who did you pick for your guy? Tajay Spears. Quayne, who gets the final point?
I love Kenneth Walker III, so I am giving the point to Todd.
Tajay Spears, guy going outside the top 30. That can end up being fantasy worthy. Well, there you have it. We're at 56 minutes. Well done. We got this done in under an hour. Todd, what is on next week's episode?
Well, we're going to talk wide receivers, probably the deepest out of all the positions because there's just so many of them. Will Jamar Chase be the number one wide receiver? Is it Justin Jefferson, knowing he has a new quarterback, or is CeeDee Lamb going to jump up that spot? You'll just have to find out on next week's podcast.
Quayne, thanks for taking the time. You have two little ones running around the house these days, but you found some time to hang out with us, talk running backs. We had a great time. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Quayne, hopefully we'll be at the draft here the 31st, that Sunday. Make sure you put that on your calendars. And next week, wide receivers. If anybody out there wants to join us for the podcast, we'd love to have you on. So for Todd Diamond, Mikey Renault, Matt Quayne, and myself, Eric Lansing, we'll see you next time on the MHA podcast.